the Sunday feast. And thanks again, Madhuji. So we're doing the Bhagavad Gita, and let's see, chapter 5. How many of you are here for the first time? Hi, welcome. Hare Krishna to you all. Wonderful. So sometimes when we go and distribute books to the public, especially the Bhagavad Gita, I would tell people, it talks about a great war that took place 5,000 years ago, a fratricidal war. That's one of the ways I used to start. And people might get interested in history, and usually they would take the book, you know. So, war 5,000 years ago. And we see in history there was always war, there was always discord, argument amongst people going on in the world. And even now, like the artist says, Mali, and everywhere is war. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, war down south. Everywhere is war. Is it true? Yes. Individually, collectively, there is war. Individually, with us, sometimes we're warring inside the mind. Should I do this? Should I do that? Or he is my enemy. This one is my friend. And there is discord within the heart. So personally or individually, sometimes we are not at peace. We want peace. And collectively, we're seeing, if you look at the news, there's always some disturbance due to one group encroaching on the rights of other groups. And even personally, we might feel, oh, this person is violating my boundaries. And we feel inimical or threatened or antagonistic. So there's always this sort of tension in the world that's there. And one might give up hope and despair. Will there ever be peace? Will there ever be like a utopia? It seems like a futile dream. But Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, God, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was having a conversation with Arjuna, his friend. And Krishna, he dispelled that notion that there can't be peace in the world. So hence I'm doing this verse today where Krishna, he informs Arjuna that there can be peace and there is a formula for peace. There are actually 3 ways of attaining peace of mind. So this verse is very popular. It's quite common and often quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 29. Who knows that verse? 529? 529. Hare Krishna Prabhu, would you like to say it? Would you like to say the verse? Oh, I see. Perhaps, yes, Sureshwar Prabhu? Yes. Thank you, correct. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Yatvamam Chantim Rechiti. There can be peace. It's possible. Krishna says that. Krishna is God. If he says so, it has to be true. So the translation is, and then you note that there are 3 items mentioned by Krishna whereby there can be peace within each individual and collectively, indeed universally. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Krishna is telling Arjuna, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme Lord and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So herein, Srila Prabhupada points out that Krishna is giving the formula whereby which, if we follow what he says, under the guidance of our teachers, our spiritual masters, we can learn to apply this wisdom in our daily life. So I'll start first by seeking the blessings of Krishna and the spiritual master. Amagyanatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So God is speaking here, Krishna, and out of these 3 proposals, items that he puts forward, the first one on the list, he says, a person in full consciousness of me. Can we be in full consciousness of God 100% or partially or momentarily or continuously be in full consciousness of God? So he says, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. So that's the first out of the 3 proposals that he's making, that we should have this knowledge in our mind and we should remember these premises. We should remember this advice that Krishna is giving here, that we should be conscious that he is the one who inherits, or he's the beneficiary of whatever sacrifice we make or whatever austerities we perform. So sometimes we do perform austerity, we take a little inconvenience, to get something for the greater good, we hope, we think, and we make a sacrifice, like we take a vow to do chant japa, like a certain amount of rounds and so on. So Krishna is informing us that when we engage in sacrifice and austerity, we may not be aware that Krishna is the enjoyer of those sacrifices, but he is the enjoyer. We may perform these things, sacrifice, like having a big fire sacrifice, a yagya, or whipping yourself in the back like sometimes the monks do, for atonement. And we're thinking that we will gain something out of it. We will be absolved of our sins. And we're thinking we will get some benefit out of it. And that is there to some degree. But Krishna is saying, if you consciously and mindfully perform these austerities and sacrifice as an offering to Him, then it is more beneficial in the end for us to offer to the highest. Because whether we know it or not, we may be offering to the demigods or to some totem in this world, some some worshipable object or person. But regardless of what our offering is directed towards, God actually is the beneficiary of all these sacrifices. So why not do it for Him? Why not do the sacrifice and austerity anyway? So that's the first item Krishna talks about. We should bear that in mind when we are in distress, when we're suffering, when we are experiencing the pangs of material misery. We should remember God. And people usually do. They might, unless they're downright atheistic, usually when people are in distress or some misery, like instinctively we reach out for God. Oh, Krishna, help me, step by step. We're calling Krishna, Krishna, please help me. So the pangs of material miseries. The second item now, he's saying, one should also remember, one should bear in mind that He, Krishna, is the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods. So one might wonder about that, like, why is He talking Himself up so much? Krishna, He is this big Maha, supreme Lord of all, not just Earth, all the planets and all the higher beings living in these different planets. But actually, Krishna is not in any way being narcissistic or boasting, but He's just being factual, whether we like it or not. And He's informing us for our own good. Because usually we look for a hero, we look for a warrior or protector or provider. So when Krishna, He extols in a way His glories, we get faith in Krishna that way, that here's someone, here's my hero that I can repose my faith and trust in, and He will protect me. He will be my provider, my supplier. It's not the highest, it's not the highest aspiration we should have, but still, it's better than nothing. So by Krishna delineating His own strength and power and protection, that instills some sort of faith and trust in Krishna. We are more apt to repose our faith and trust in someone who is actually capable of taking care of us. People may profess that they can take care of us and provide for us, maybe a potential spouse, or the parents, I'll take care of you. And they are in earnest, they mean it, and they try their best to protect and maintain and raise them up. But because we are fallible in this world, the protection doesn't last forever. But with Krishna, this hero, the supreme hero, His protection is there all the time. And He speaks at more length about that in the Bhagavad Gita. So we're seeing like, wow, this person is so complete, He's the beneficiary, the supreme enjoyer. He must be really powerful, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods. Yeah, this is my hero. I'll go with him. I'll worship Krishna. He'll be my Ishtadev, my worshipable deity. So that's the second thing we should think about. When we're down in the doldrums, we're suffering from the pangs of material miseries, we should bear this advice Krishna is giving in mind. We should recall it. And that will give us some solace and tolerance to bear happiness and distress, the dualities of the world. Because Krishna, we're seeing that he's the Lord of all planets and demigods. So that implies that if he's the Lord of all planets and demigods, and we hear he's all pervading, so many descriptions given, we can gauge from that Krishna is the owner of everything, that he owns everything. And what about me? I own nothing. I own nothing. If we remember that in distress, like somebody robs us of wealth, or robs us of our self-esteem, whatever it may be, we should remember what Krishna said, that he's the one who owns everything. I didn't really own that permanently, what the thief stole. I just got it like a rental temporarily, from Krishna. And I should use it properly in the service of the real proprietor, the owner. For himself, Krishna, he doesn't really need anything like people's wealth or anything at all. Krishna is indeed, he's self-sufficient. So he's Swarat, it's called self-sufficiency. So he doesn't need anything. However, if we offer some of his property back in return, like the father, the child comes, he got money from the father, he kept it in his piggy bank, and then he took the money out and bought a gift for his father and gave it to the father. The father is very much obliged. He's very happy, and he'll treasure the gifts forever the child gave him. So Krishna is like that. We are puny beings, but we are part and parcel of Krishna. So if we take the property of Krishna and offer it back to him, then Krishna is very pleased. Now, there's something about Krishna being pleased. When Krishna is pleased, actually, it reminds me of a pastime with Srila Prabhupada. Maybe I didn't tell you this, but this devotee was going to sing for an assembly of devotees. It was for bhajan, and Srila Prabhupada, he was there. So the devotee was very nervous, and he confided in Srila Prabhupada. He said, "Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know if I can please the Vaishnavas. I don't know if I can give this class to please everybody." And Srila Prabhupada said, "You sing. You just sing for Krishna. For Krishna. And if Krishna is pleased, then everyone will be pleased. Everyone will be pleased." So Krishna is also described as the universal root. He's the root of the universal tree. And all the different parts of the tree, they get nourished when that root, that Krishna root, is watered and nourished. Otherwise, we can't go individually and water every leaf, fruit, flower, twig, and so on. It won't work. And just by watering the root, Krishna, then we see the whole tree becomes refreshed and rejuvenated. So if we please Krishna, then everyone is automatically pleased, and then one will no longer be experiencing the pangs of material nature. The pangs are there from the way the verse is, from the pangs of material miseries. It's not as though suffering isn't there. but it's how we perceive it. Like the devotee, the sage, he can see very profoundly, he can see waves going by very subtly. He can see that there is suffering, but he does not engage. He will see it and let it pass by. He won't get invested in it. So, in that way, when Krishna is pleased, then he gives us that inner satisfaction where we can easily become detached from things of the world that we're lusting for. But when Krishna is pleased and we feel pleased, then we get that inner strength to be able to control our minds, being more level headed, and Krishna gives us mercy. Now we hear a lot about mercy, the devotee's mercy, Krishna's mercy, and that mercy comes in the form of Krishna giving us a kickstart with our intelligence. So Krishna gives us intelligence. He gives us a sense, a very fine, acute sense of this proper discrimination. So that's part of Krishna's mercy, using our intelligence properly. So that's the second item. And the third thing we should remember when we engage with material suffering, and that will help us to disengage with material miseries, is that Krishna is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Because we might be wondering, well, what does this formula have to do with me? How can it help me? Why are you telling me this in the first place? And we see this verse has everything to do with us. Krishna is trying to help us, to extricate us from this suffering. So he's saying that he's a benefactor and he's so powerful. He's Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the supreme lord of all the planets and demigods. And yet he takes the time, he gives us the time of day. Somebody who has so much opulence and influence, they might not even look at us in the material world. They might be quite proud and arrogant. But Krishna, he's the most powerful, he's the strongest. And yet he takes time out for us. He gives us his undivided attention. So he's our benefactor. That benefactor is there. And a well-wisher, he's the friend of all living entities. We can see that in the way he structures the whole material creation to accommodate everyone according to their desire. So we see that Krishna, out of all the well-wishers, Krishna is the ultimate well-wisher. We know, like Srila Prabhupada, he always described, he said, your ever well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada, who is a representative of God, your ever well-wisher. So very beautiful. And we're thinking about Krishna. Krishna is always there, life after life. He is accompanying us as Paramatma in the heart. If because of our desire and our karma, we get a body that might be lower down in the evolutionary scale, let's say of an insect or a reptile or whatever, and someone might ask Krishna, one of the, maybe, is it Chitragupta? Yeah, is it like, you want to go in that body, Krishna, with that Atma? And he said, sure, I'll go. Krishna says that, sure, I'll go. And Krishna is accompanying that soul in whatever type of body that soul is taking, and wherever it is going, that's a friend. That's a well-wisher. But Krishna is always there for us. So we should not take it so personally when we have suffering. Oh me, oh my, alas, woe is me. We can tell ourselves, Paramesvari, you're in a mode of ignorance. Stop wallowing in self-pity and get cracking, something like that. Yeah. And so, yeah, we learn the philosophy, and in that way, we can implement the philosophy in our daily life. So, when we have the suffering, we should not become so concentrated on it and catastrophize, the therapists, they say, but try to see this suffering through the eyes of scripture, that I should not give it so much attention. After all, it's temporary, the suffering and the happiness. Matras parashas to count here, that we should learn to tolerate the happiness, tolerate happiness and distress. Imagine that. Can you tolerate happiness? Elation? Yeah. So Krishna says we should be sober and serious and apply his teachings from the Bhagavad Gita in our daily life. Is it time up?
Yeah.
It's up. So yeah, so the peace formula Srila Prabhupada gives, that we should remember this and draw from it and extract from this in our daily life. And it really helps when we apply the philosophy in our daily life actively for practical matters, that we want to attain peace from the pangs of material misery. We should remember God. And usually we do, we want help. We should remember God, that he is the person who enjoys our sacrifice and our suffering. Usually people think, well, nobody recognizes what I do, but Krishna does. He does, and he takes note of it. So one, we should remember that he is a beneficiary of all the sacrifice and hard austerity we do. If nobody appreciates it, it's Krishna. So why not do it for him? And then we should know that he's a great hero. He's the Lord of all the planets and the demigods, that he owns everything, and that he's our benefactor. He's our best friend. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He's the benefactor and the well-wisher of all living entities. So when you think, well, why did he give me this suffering then if he's my well-wisher? So we need to think more deeply and see that there's something to be learned here in what I perceive as suffering, and ultimately it will be for my own good. So thank you very much. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. One question? A question from someone? Oh yes, Sureshwar Prabhu.
Okay, it's one thing to read in a book that Chris is my best friend, but it's another thing to realize it. So, give us an example for when you first realize that actually it's my best friend.
When I first realized Krishna is my best friend. So I just always knew that instinctively, even as a child. It's just that intuitive feeling that you have, that there is this higher person, the Supreme Lord. And when I look back in retrospect at my life and all the adventures I have had, there are a lot of miracles that took place, because I did things that people would not do, give up my home and my career and everything with my 3 children. And I went in the temple, and Krishna always took care of me. If I wanted a sari, sometimes I wouldn't have. And I would be going on Sangita, and then a lady would say, come, Betty. And she'd give me a sari, or if I needed a hair clip or something, it was quite mystical. but I could see the hand of Krishna, so I always depend on my hero.
Thank you.